Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another chapter of the AWS Primer being done by Jyoti. Jyoti, thank you so much. I think this is the 8th chapter. So I will hand it over to you and take it away.
Okay. So hi everyone. Yes, this is our 8th chapter and we've met for 8 weeks now. Okay. Yeah. So I hope now you guys can go ahead. I was just thinking like how we can make this session more effective. So one way which I thought was, I think you all should start registering for some of these certification. To start with, you can go with AWS Cloud Practitioner. It's not must have in the certification series, but by doing that, you get to know the overall picture, like, okay, what services we have, why do we want to use cloud, etc. So it's good to have that certification under your belt. Even I have done that. Now the second certification which I'm going towards is the SysOps. It's scheduled for December 30. And in fact, these sessions are helping me to prepare for that certification. So this is how we can learn if we start going for the certification. Okay. And yes, let's get started on today's agenda. So this is our continuation with the EC2 lectures which we are doing. And as we had decided that in this particular session, we'll have a lot of labs. Okay, we won't rush to the topic. Okay, so I'll have few more labs on EC2 after this webinar as well. Okay, so for today, what all I have planned is just a second. Yeah. So first we'll understand what is the difference between Amazon EBS backed AMI and Amazon Instance Store backed AMI. The reason for sharing this difference is just for you to understand, okay, when you go ahead and create an instance and you see, okay, EBS only, etc. in the wizard, what exactly that means, okay? And when one should go for EBS and when one should go for Instance Store, okay? Then we'll study about the difference between images and snapshot. Again, a very brief overview. In detail about the snapshot, etc. We'll study when we'll study EBS in detail. Okay, it's kind of introductory lecture. And then we'll have 4-5 labs. So the first lab is, okay, we know that we cannot copy EC2 instances which we have created in one region to another region. So what is then how can we go ahead and have a similar instance in another region? So AMI comes in picture. So you can always create the AMI of your running instance and then use that instance to create a similar instance in another region. Okay, so once you've created a AMI, you can either copy it to another region or you can copy it across account. Okay, then we'll do a little setup on EC2 instance for Jenkins, because I want you all to leverage the EC2 instance in your day-to-day automation activities as well. So I'll show you, if you plan to set up Jenkins on EC2, what are the steps you are going to do. So here I have used Ubuntu. This morning I was trying to set up Jenkins on a Linux instance, but I was facing some issues. So just for this demo, I have picked Ubuntu, but you can also go ahead and do the setup on Linux machines as well. But there were some issues I was facing. If I find out the root cause of that issue, I'll also share. Okay. And finally, we'll study about AWS CodeCommit and EC2 Instance. So for example, it's same as from your local machine, how do you access your GitLab, okay, or GitHub or Bitbucket? So similarly, AWS provides you a service known as CodeCommit, which is very similar to your source code management which you have, okay? And we'll see how from EC2 instance we can access that repository which you have created in CodeCommit. Okay, so again, as I've always told you, these are just pieces of the larger picture. I mean, the larger project which we are going to have at the end of this webinar. Okay, so for those things, I'm taking these labs so that when we come to the end-to-end project part, you all are aware about, okay, how do you set up Jenkins? What are the prerequisites? How do I connect my instance with the code repository, etc. Okay. So yeah, yes. So what is the difference? I see something in chat. Okay, that's good, Brijesh. You've registered. I think more people would get now motivated to register for the certification. Okay. So what is the difference between Amazon EBS backed AMI and Amazon Instant Store? So EBS volume is the network drive which is associated with your EC2 instance. So it's, you can consider it as your external drive, something like that. So the advantage a user would have by having a EBS volume with your Amazon instances, even if your instance gets terminated or rebooted or restarted, you won't lose the data. Okay, so EBS volume is a network attached drive which results in slow performance, but data by slow performance you can understand because you have your instance and then this instance is trying to connect with another service. Okay, for fetching the data. So that's why you'll see a little slowness. But what advantage you'll have is the data would persist. Okay, so yeah, but with instant store, this is, you can consider it as a storage which is attached to your EC2 instance. So the moment you reboot or restart or terminate your instance, the data would go away. Okay, and why these volumes are used, EBS volume or instant store? So they are used for storing your operating system as well. So if we talk about EBS backed, what do you mean by EBS backed? That means your operating system is on EBS. Okay, so whatever I have told is here. Okay, so an EBS volume behaves like a raw unformatted external block device that can be attached to your single instance and are not physically attached to the instance host computer, but instance store ones are directly attached to your computer host. Okay, so where can you use the storage of instant store? Whenever you have something related to buffer caching or some temporary content you want to store with respect to your application, there you can leverage the instant store which you have got with the Amazon instant store backed AMI. But anything which you wanted for longer run, anything which you want to have to persist, okay, for that go ahead and choose EBS volume. Okay, yeah, so a pictorial representation of same. So this is how your instance store looks like. So this is your EC2 instance. Okay, and in this EC2 instance only you have the storage. Okay, so your operating systems are stored here. Okay, and you get some storage which is empirical, which means it is volatile in nature. Okay, and the template for the instance Amazon backed instance store, the template is present in the S3. Okay, so you can see this where actually is the template. So this AMI, its template is present in S3. So when you launch your instance, everything is fetched from here. The image is brought from S3 to your host computer, and also this contains the mapping, like what to map with what. Okay, so all this mapping is also stored in your AMI. Okay, AMI template, I would say rather. Okay, so now we know, okay, if I go ahead and use a instance store backed instance, okay, so I see that moment my system is restarted or rebooted, I'll lose my data. So how can you ensure that, okay, you can prevent this? One way is to, okay, don't go for instance store, go for EBS volumes. But if you happen to have instance store, then what you can do is you can store you can distribute your data across multiple AZs. Okay, so that even if one AZ fails, you have data in your different AZs. Okay, AZ is your availability zone. Okay, which is like a separate data center in your region. So every region, AWS region, has a different data source. Okay, again, the purpose of having multiple AZs or multiple data centers in a region is same. If there is any disaster situation, so only one would be impacted and other two would remain safe. Okay, and you can also use a combination of instance store plus volumes. So everything which is critical, you can go it for EBS volume. Okay, but things which are not critical, as I mentioned, that anything which is like a cache or a temporary data, for that you can use instance store. Okay. Now, yeah, so data on EBS volume is not lost. in these situation, whereas data in case of instance store, they are lost in these situation. And here you can see a pictorial representation that yes, you have your host computer and your EBS volume is at a separate location. Okay, plus you have some instance stored as well, so you have combination of both instance store and EBS volume. But whereas in case of this, you'll see your operating system is also here. What this refers to is the AMI, the template, etc. It is stored in S3. But once you boot up your system, everything is managed from this part. Okay. So any question till now? So on a high level, I hope you are able to get it. Detail will study in the upcoming session. We just have to understand that you get two type of instances or AMIs. One is backed with EBS volume and another is backed with instance store. With instance store, there are a lot of disadvantage, which is like, okay, your data would be lost the moment your instance is restarted, rebooted. Okay, but with EBS volume, your data persists. And we also studied that there would be a little slowness in case of EBS, and I told you through a diagram why it would be a little slow, because it's kind of a network drive. You are trying to access your data from a network drive. It is stored somewhere else, and you're accessing that data over network. But in case of instance store, your data is in your instance itself. Okay, so accessing anything from instance store would be always faster as compared to accessing anything from EBS volume, okay, or a network drive. So yeah, so let's understand what is difference between image and snapshot. Again, it's whatever you would have studied, like with respect to snapshot. So what exactly you are doing when you are creating a snapshot of anything, you are taking a copy of that volume frozen in time. Okay, so for example, there is some critical activity which is happening in your application, and you always want to ensure that, okay, you always have a copy of that data, so you can always create a snapshot. Or there's one more advantage I can see, is, for example, you saw any issue in the production. Now you cannot go ahead and do the troubleshooting and debugging in the production. So what you can do is, of the current EBS storage, you can take a snapshot and then attach it to some other instance. Okay, that's another advantage you get with EBS volume, because they are not part of your EC2 instance. So you can attach that EBS volume to your testing environment, and you can do the troubleshooting. Okay, and image is simple. It's AMI is construct that lets you create an instance. So I would have told you in previous video that, okay, what exactly is your AMI? It is you can consider template with basic settings. Okay, so it consists composed of one or more snapshot mapped to the images. At launch time, the EBS volume of the new instance are copies of those snapshot and mapped to the instance as defined by AMI. So let's not go into this definition. Simple, AMI is your template. Okay, using that template, you create your EC2 instances, and that template would have some basic softwares. Okay, which is required for functioning of your EC2 instances. So we've understood, right? What do we mean by instance? It's your virtual system, your virtual computer. So to run anything on a computer would need some basic setup. So that basic setups are present in AMI. So using AMI, you can create instance. Okay. Yeah. So till now, I covered all the theory part. Any question till now? Else we'll move to the practical sessions. Vinod, Brijesh, any questions? Okay. Okay, guys. So let's go ahead and create a. So from AMI, we have created an instance, right? Now we'll do vice versa. Like we have instance, we have added certain stuff in that instance, and I want to reuse it. Okay, so we'll do a vice versa today. Okay, so let me just stop sharing. And from diagram, you can understand. Okay, so you had a AMI from, and this was your EBS volume. you created a EC2 instance, you added something in this EC2 instance, you install certain software, etc. And now you want to copy this to another region. So since we cannot copy EC2 instance, what we'll do, we'll create an AMI. So we'll create an image of this current instance, and using that AMI will again launch an instance. Okay, so let's get started. Let's first create a EC2 instance. Free trial, select. Okay, so see, this is the AMI, Amazon Linux 2 AMI. It has a volume type of SSD. We'll study all these later. Okay, so the basic settings you can see. Okay, what all are there in this particular AMI. Okay. Oh, where am I? What's wrong? Okay, sorry, I'm logged into a user which is not having a permission to create EC2 instance. Okay. Yeah, this would have. Sorry guys, I was doing some practical this morning. So now let me just try this. Okay. Can you see the screen of mine where it's written Jyoti CCP?
Jyoti, I can see your screen, but it is post attendee Zoom screen.
Okay, just a second. Let me reshare.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see your Google search. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
AWS Management Console. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Let me just log into this. Something is wrong with this. I think it has stored my password, and that's why it's not letting me in. I'll try with a new instance. Okay. Let me know if you're able to see the incognito mode of.
Yeah. I
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, now I think I'll be able to.
Yep.
Sort of.
Okay, we can see it. Yeah.
Okay. So let's start. So you would have understood why I was not able to create instance there, because I was logged into a user which had just permission to create repository. So that's why I was not able to create an instance there. This one has the required permission. Yeah, so this here, this location is where your operating system is stored. And other than this, if you want to add more volumes, you can do it. So for that, you'll be charged. Okay. And as you can see from this option, so with instance store, what happens is moment you delete or terminate your EC2 instance, anything which is stored here would get deleted. Okay. You can select not to delete also, but with EBS volume, by default, if you see, it is disabled. So the default functionality of EBS is anything which is stored in EBS won't get deleted after termination. Okay. So I don't want to delete anything because I want to create a AMI and I want to show, okay, whatever I've added in the AMI, you're able to see. Okay. So I'll go ahead and launch it. Okay, so launch. Let me pick some existing key pair. So this part everybody knows, right? Okay, how do you connect to your EC2 instance? Yeah. So and then launch instance. So the instance is currently in pending status. We'll wait when it comes into a running state. Amazon also does a health check. You can see this, right? So it checks your instance to see if everything is right or not. So once those checks they pass, you see your instance state as running. Yeah, now it's running. Okay, so let's connect to this. Okay. So how do you connect? You take the public IP, go to terminal. So I'll do SSH, the PEM file, okay, then EC2 user and the public IP. So if I do ls, do you see anything here? No, right? So I'll go ahead and create some file. Yeah. Also, let's see if there is Java installed on this. No, there's no Java here. So let's go ahead and install Java. Okay. So I'll just see. Oops. Not this. So we'll install any version because idea is just to tell you that once you create a AMI out of this instance, you'll see all these installed, pre-installed. Okay, I'm just copying stuff. Yeah. And what is the next? This. Okay. Now if I do, yeah, I see Java installed. Okay, so now this instance is up and running. I have installed Java and I've created some file. Now what if I want to create another EC2 instance with same setting? Okay, so through AWS we cannot copy EC2 instances. So how we can do the copying part now? We'll create AMI. Okay, so let's exit this. Go to our EC2 instance. Okay. Best practice is to stop your EC2 instance before taking the backup. But without stopping also, you can create the backup. So for now, I'm just going ahead and creating a AMI of this instance. Okay. Action, image and template, create image. You can name, okay, copied AMI. Okay. See everything which was there on your original EC2 instance, you can find here. We had taken this EBS. Okay, everything is done. Create image. Okay, so image would have been created. We'll see here. Okay, so yeah, your image is copied now. It takes little time. So use case you are able to follow, right? Let's understand this in terms of your our testing world. So suppose something was added in the production. Somehow we did some hotfix and we send those changes directly to our production servers. Okay, I'm not talking about Git and all, because with Git, okay, you can always take the master on your local system or a test system. For understanding purpose, we'll see, okay, there are just two instances. You have one production instance which is present in Ohio, for example, and you have a test instance which is there in your North Virginia. So you want to see that you got some issue which is happening just in the production and not happening in your North Virginia region, which is your test environment. Okay, so you want exactly same setup which is there in your production environment, same set of softwares, same set of a file, everything you want same, right? So what you can do is from the production server, you can create a AMI, and now using that AMI, you can launch your instance in another region, and you can troubleshoot your issues without intervening with production working. Okay. Just give it a second. Yeah. It's still, and in owner you will see the account ID of this account itself. Okay, but when we'll do a cross account copy, okay, there you'll see that, okay, source is this, okay, and destination is the other account. Come on. Okay, meanwhile, I'll take you to the another slides. Okay, again, it's a practical session. I'll give you brief what we are trying to do. So the first exercise we have done, which was like creating an AMI of an instance. This second exercise, which once this AMI is active, will copy this AMI to another region, and from that AMI will create a new instance, and we'll see that whatever we had created in the EC2 instance from which this AMI was created, you'll find everything in the new instance, which is you'll find Java pre-installed, and you'll find those files which I had created, my file and my file one. Okay. After that, this is something which I would like you all to perform, which is now try copying this AMI across account. Okay, so for this you should have two accounts with you. Okay, and then our second last exercise is simple. We'll be setting our Jenkins on Ubuntu 18.04. So we'll study, okay, what are things you need to do where EC2 is concerned. Like, okay, you have to ensure that your port 8080 is open, because Jenkins, they listen on port 8080, and then basic installation of Java and Jenkins. Okay. And our final lab is on AWS CodeCommit. So it's similar to what you do with Git and your local machine. So you create a remote repository, then on your local you copy or clone that repository, you perform your changes, and then you submit a PR. Similarly, in AWS, we have CodeCommit as a service for managing your code. Okay, so we'll create a repository, and then from EC2 instance, we'll try to access that CodeCommit repository. Okay. It's taking a lot of time. I don't know. तो कुछ तो डाला नहीं था इसमें. Okay, let's not wait. We'll go ahead and create our EC2 instance for Jenkins setup. Okay. Once this is up and running, I'll show you how you can copy it across a region and create a new instance from it. Okay. So, yeah. I think I shouldn't have copied that EBS volume part. Yeah. Instance, here, Ubuntu. Yeah, let's select this. So this is another lecture on, lab on setting up Jenkins on EC2 instance. Okay. Yeah, T2 tier, config instance. We don't want any extra storage. Yeah. So here what extra you need to do is, since this port is open only for, this instance is open only for 22 port, you need to enable it for 8080. Okay. So I have created a security group with all the required setting. I'll show it to you. Okay, so you can see port 8080 is open. I've opened this for HTTPS also, though it was not required, but I've opened it. Okay. Review and launch. Okay. I think we can go ahead. Let's take this key as let's see if our AMI is up and running or not. Oh, it's taking a lot of time. Okay, hopefully before the end of this session, it would get copied. Yeah, so okay, so it's simple. I've just created an instance from Ubuntu 18.04, and we know that Jenkins, it requires port 8080. So we went ahead and enabled port 8080 on this instance. Okay, so let's go ahead and connect to this machine. Okay, so if it's Linux machine, we do EC2 user, right? But if it's Ubuntu, you need to do this. Ubuntu @ let's take the public IP. Yeah, so let's see if we have Jenkins. Yeah. So Java is not here, right? So you can see it is telling you, okay, this is how you can install Java on Ubuntu. So there are 3 options. So if you go by this, it would install the latest Java on your system, but I don't want to go for latest. I want to go for 1.8. Okay. So for this, I'll go ahead. Okay. Let's see. What's wrong? Just a second. I have. Okay, guys. Chalo, theek hai. Sorry, I'll just show you quickly the AMI part which I had left. Okay. In Virginia. Okay. So see, now this AMI is available. I can copy it. So what I'll do, go to AMIs. You'll see owned by me, under owned by me. So there are 3 types of AMI sources. One is like, okay, what Amazon provides. Second is marketplace. And third is what we are doing is copying it from some other account or a region. Okay, you're creating your own custom AMIs. Okay, so let's go ahead and copy this. So you can select which region you want to copy this instance in. So I'll copy it in Ohio. Okay. Okay. and copy. Okay. Now if I go to Ohio, yeah, let it take some time then. Okay, we'll come back to our original lab now on Jenkins. Do let me know if switching from one lab to another lab is causing any confusion for you all. Because if I'll wait for the AMIs to be available, it would take some time. So that's why I'm switching between the lab. Just to avoid the confusion, the first lab which we have started is on creating a AMI from EC2 instance. Then from that AMI, we'll copy it to another region. Okay. And from the copied AMI, we'll create a new instance and we'll see whatever was there in my original EC2 instance, it is there in this new instance, which was created from the copied AMI. So that's one lecture, one lab which is going on. And parallelly, what I'm doing is I've created a Ubuntu instance. And on that Ubuntu instance, I'm doing setup for Jenkins. Okay, so for Jenkins, you need to have Java installed in your system. Okay, so that's what I'm doing here right now. I'm trying to install Java. Okay. Let's copy it here. Okay, so I have the steps. This okay. Let's go ahead and first make some update. I'll share these steps with you all. No, we don't have Java. Okay, so we'll go ahead and install this one. Okay. We might have to put sudo. Okay. Yep. So this is installed. Now if I do Java version, you see. Yeah, so you have got 1.8. Yeah. So now installation for Java is done. Let's go ahead and do the installation for Jenkins. Okay. So what are the steps one need to do? Just copy. Okay. So okay means, yeah, this step is successful. So we are just trying to get the package using wget. Okay. Then let's update this. These are simple steps which you would have done it on your local system, okay, while installing Jenkins. Okay, so same thing I'm just doing on Ubuntu. I haven't done anything extra. Just imagine replacing your local system with a AWS instance. Okay, and simply if I would have installed Java on my machine, same way I'm installing Java on that instance. And second is I need to install Jenkins. For that we need some download files, etc. So all those things I'm trying to copy on the EC2 instance. Okay. So all these prerequisites are done, which are required for installing Jenkins. Now I can go ahead and run this. I mean, well, you can keep this handy with you. Now this is taking some time, so let's go ahead and see what is the status of our AMI, which we had copied in Ohio. Okay. It's still in pending status. Okay, let it be. We can do one more thing. Okay, let it get copied in Ohio. Okay, let's go back to our North Virginia. From the AMI, let's launch instance here only. Okay, so let's go ahead and launch this. Yeah, we'll just go ahead and launch it. Okay, launch. We'll take save. This is the copied one. This is pending. Is this done? Okay, this is done. We have installed Jenkins as well. Let's see if Jenkins is up and running or not. Okay, let's start this service. Yeah, the service started. You can check the status for your, yeah. So see, your Jenkins is up on this Ubuntu instance. Let's try and access this Jenkins. Okay, so how you can do it? Yeah. So we'll take the public IP address. We'll do HTTP this and our port 8080. Okay, so I'm sure you would have seen screen like this, okay, when doing setup on your local machine. So I just take the password. Oh, so let's go with the basic settings. Okay, let's see what is the status of our EC2 instance. Okay, so this is up and running. Let's connect to this one. Okay, I'm trying to connect to from copied AMI instance and see whatever I had created in my this instant EC2 instance, is it available in from copied AMI? Why it should be available? Because I had created AMI from this TTC instance only. Okay, so let's connect to this as well. Mm-hmm. Why I'm doing EC2 user? Because it is a Linux machine, not Ubuntu. Yeah, let's do ls. See, you see these two files. So from where we are getting these two files on, this is my new instance which I've created, right? So all these are coming from the AMI from which this instance was launched, and that AMI we had created from one of our running instance. Okay, let's see Java. See, you see your Java in pre-installed here. Okay, so I hope you got it right. So this is your first lab, which was to create a AMI from an instance that we have done. Second is to copy AMI from one region to another region, that also we did. And third is to copy your AMI from one account to another account, that I have given you as as an assignment. So do try that. Okay, how you can copy the AMIs across account, and why we are asking to copy AMIs and not EC2 instance, because we are not allowed to copy EC2 instances. So whenever you want to have similar setup, same as what is there in production. Okay, you can always go ahead and ask someone to create AMI. Now you also know how to create AMI. So if you've got permission, you can go ahead and create the AMI, copy it in your region, and then launch the instance. So you'll get same replica. Okay, and then you don't have to waste your time in doing all those prerequisites which somebody would have done initially. Okay, and for Jenkins also, what we did, this is the another lab which we wanted to do. So again, it's very simple. I picked Ubuntu from the launch instance wizard. Okay, and then in the security group, I just had to ensure that port 8080 is enabled. Okay, because our Jenkins, they listen on port 8080. So that was done. I have connected to that Ubuntu machine, and simple, I did installation for Java, and then I did installation for Jenkins. Okay, and how you can access that Jenkins instance? Simple, HTTP, the public IP address, and 8080. Okay, so if you see Jenkins is up and running, let's create a user admin. Let's name it as admin only, password also admin. This is not required, but still. Even finish. Start using Jenkins. Okay. So I'll pause for questions because I have done 3 labs together. So any doubt, any lab you would like me to repeat, I'll do it. And if it's all good, then yeah, we can proceed with our next lab. Brijesh, all good? Or should I repeat any of the lab again? Yeah. Honestly, Vinod, AMI is not tricky. It's just that it takes little time, and I was going across to Windows. That's why it would have seemed tricky. Yeah, yes, steps back and forth. Right. So let me just revise the steps for you. Okay, I don't want you to go with confusion and think that AMI is tricky. It's very easy. Okay. Yeah. So I hope you understood the reason behind creating an AMI. Okay, so there are AMIs already available in Amazon, right? That's why I was able to launch my instances. Before this lecture, I had launched so many instances. So from where I was launching those instances using AMI, which is like a image having some basic softwares installed in it. Okay, now I created my instance. Okay, I had done all the installation. I have done all the work. I have done all the R&D. For example, this Jenkins example only. Okay, so I have done all the setup in production for Jenkins. Okay, now you want to replicate same thing in your local environment or in another region which is just available for testing. Okay, so what you can do, one option if it was available was just to copy EC2 instance from my region to your region, but that option is not available. So what you can do is, okay, you can create AMI from that instance. This is what I had done. How did I create AMI? Just go to that instance, and under action you'll see a template, instance and template option. From there, just select create image. So that image is your AMI only. Okay, see, if I click on any of the instance, for example this demo instance, and I do actions, okay, image and template, and I do create image. Okay, so what would happen after selecting this create image? If you'll go under AMIs, first time when you've not copied any image, go to this section, you'll see nothing here. Okay, you'll see a marketplace, Amazon marketplace. It's where from you can get AMIs. Okay, so you'll see blank, but once you'll perform that operation of copying an image, you see your AMI here. That's your, see, you will see owned by me, because that's user has created. So once your AMI is available, you can go ahead and launch it. If in same region you want to create similar instance, so you can go ahead and launch it, or you can go ahead and copy AMI to another region. Okay, and there's another use case as well. You don't want to do it in your account, you want to copy this instance to someone's else account. Okay, so for that I gave you an assignment like how you can do that. If you don't refer any other tutorial, just go to Amazon site, you'll find out, okay, what one needs to do to copy AMI from one account to another account. Okay, now is it making a little bit sense to you, Vinod? But yes, practice, and you can always reach out to me in TTC group or LinkedIn group. Okay, so I can take your question there as well. Then second lab we did was simple installation of Jenkins on Ubuntu machine. The only thing which one has to keep in mind is you have to enable port 8080. Okay, so I copied existing security group, but I can show it to you how you can enable 8080 right now. Okay, so let's take this example only. Let's go to North Virginia. So with this we'll be able to see how we can launch instance from our, so yeah, it's available in North Virginia. Let's go ahead and launch it. Configure instance detail, add storage. See, whenever you create instance for the first time, you just see this root volume, right? But for here you're seeing EBS because original AMI had this EBS. Okay, add tag, no, configure security setting. Okay, so by default only port 22 is enabled for any EC2 instance for SSH, but for Jenkins we need port 8080 also enabled. So you can go ahead and create add rule. From here select custom TCP and like 8080. So this is how you are enabling port 8080. Launch, select any key pair. Okay. Yeah, so this is it. Okay, yeah, so from agenda we have done this part, we've studied this, we have created AMI from instance, we have copied to another region. This you all are going to do it as assignment. We've done our this lab also, which was setting Jenkins on EC2 instance. You can set up on Linux or Ubuntu or Windows machine as well. I was facing some issues with the Linux, so for this demo I have picked Ubuntu. Okay, and now our final lab, which is connecting to a repository from your EC2 instance. Okay, so again imagine this as you are connecting to your GitHub, a GitLab from your local machine. Okay, so now local machine is being replaced by EC2 instance and your GitHub is being replaced by your code commit. Okay, so the first prerequisite for your code commit is you should have a group, and it's not necessary, but for simplicity let's think that we are giving access to only SDED to access our code repository. Okay, so let's go ahead. I have logged into a AMI user which is very equivalent to root user. Okay, and with root user you don't get SSH permission for code repository. That's why I need to create a new user. So I'll go ahead, I'll show you what I meant that with root user you don't get SSH option. I'll just show to you. This I learned today only. Here. See, you would have whenever you would have tried to access GitHub. Okay, so when you do commit or clone or connect to the GitHub remote repository, it asks you for username and password. So the same thing we have to do it here as well. You need to have a username and password by which you are going to access your code repository. So if I go to user and if I click this user Jyoti, security credentials, and if I do, oh sorry, not here, I need to create a repository first. Create repository. I'm creating this repository in my AMI user account, which is equivalent to admin. So you'll see you don't get option of SSH. Okay. See, this is not enabled. You're signed in using a root account. You cannot configure SSH connection for a root account. And for HTTP connections are not recommended for root account. So the repository which I have to create, that should be created in a non-admin users account. Okay, so for that I'm going to create a new group and I'll name it as SDET, or say developer. Let's name it as a developer. Oh, developer is already there, so SDET. And which permission we want to give this group? It would be AWS CodeCommit. So we'll give the user full access, but there's option to give a user power access, which would have less privileges as compared to full. So for now, for simplicity, I'm giving full access to this user. Okay. And let's expand it to see what exactly we mean by full user, right? So you see a policy attached to it. It says that a user which would have this group and this policy would be able to, where is my code commit, SNS and all. Yeah, no, not this one. Sorry guys. Yeah, so this user would be able to perform everything. The user would be able to perform code repository, then the user would be access to do pull, push, PR, all these stuff, whatever you do with the GitHub, this user would be able to do it. Okay, so now go ahead and create. Okay, so now the group is created. Let's create a user. Okay, so add user. Let's set up some custom password. Must contain lowercase characters. Oh, okay. TTC added. Okay, no, I don't want to change the permission. Next permission. I am associating Brajesh to SDET group. That means now Brajesh would be able to create. I mean, he have complete access to code commit service. So the code commit service is very similar to your code repository. So now he can create a repository, he can push changes to the repository, he can set up notification that whenever a PR is raised to this repository, he should get notified. He can merge the PRs, which is your pull request. So now Brajesh would be able to do everything related to code commit because he has got full access. And from where he got the full access? He got the full access because he's associated to a SDET group. Okay. Yeah. So now create user. Let's download it. Close. Now I want to give this user SSH permission, right? So let's see what is Brajesh SSH credential. Okay. Did you understand why we need these credentials? So simple, I want to access the repository. Okay, to access the repository, you should have a username and a password. So same thing, I am creating it for this user. Okay. Yeah. So, okay. Let me just download this. We'll use it when we'll be accessing. Okay. So yeah, now what I've done, I have logged in through a admin user. Now I created a group named as SDED. What is so special about that SDED group? So that group has a permission of AWS Code Commit Full Access. That means any user which gets associated to this group would be able to perform any action related to our code commit service. Okay, those action could be cloning your repo, raising PR, okay, or merging PR. So all the access would be there with Brajesh. Okay, now let's log into Brajesh user and create a repository. Okay, why we are not creating a repository through this user? Because it's an admin user, and through admin user you won't be able to do SSH. Okay, so hence you won't be able to clone, etc. Okay, so I'll just log out. First, let me go to dashboard, copy the URL through which I can log in. Yeah. Okay, so I'm just logging out of this account. I know it's already 12:30. It won't take more than 10 minutes, I guess. Yeah, so name of my user was Brajesh. Password was TT capital C @123. We'll go to code commit. Okay, I'll create a new repository. श्लोको एक मिनट श्लोको सॉरी भाई मेरा नेफ्यू आ गया रूम में जस्ट अ सेकंड Okay, guys. Okay, so I've created this repository. I'll be a little quick. Okay. Now you see this SSH option. Okay. Now let's just commit something in this repository. Add a file. So create a file. My first commit. Let's put this in file 1.txt. Author name Brajesh. Anything. Okay, so you see a branch named as main branch. Okay, so now let's go ahead. Now I've created a basic repository. Now I'll go ahead and start adding my test cases, etc. So how can I do it, right? So I'll go ahead and clone this on my local repository. So here all my local repository is going to be set up on the EC2 instance. Okay, so let's pick this only, which I am already connected to. I think I just need to install Git here. Okay, let me see if Git is already installed. No, Git is not installed, so let me just install Git. Here's the command to install Git. Yeah, this is the command to install the Git. Okay. Now let's do git clone. Okay, I'll copy the yeah. So this is I'm copying it through. This I guess you all know, right? If I click here, you can clone URL. So clone HTTPS, SSH. So I'm doing the HTTPS part. So I'm assuming that you all would have worked on GitHub, GitLab, or Bitbucket, anything like this. Okay. Now it's asking me for username and password. Okay. So which user can access this repository? Brijesh. Okay. And what is his users and credential that we had just downloaded? Okay. So this is his username. Okay. Password. Yeah. This cd my repo. Now do ls. You see this file. Now you can go ahead and first see which branch are you on. We are on main branch. Now you can create your own branch. So same. Now you can perform all your git commands. Okay. My branch. Add something here. Raise a pull request. So everything is same. Okay. Just my text2.txt. Simple git add. So you see now your regular git commands are working here. Okay. My first test. Okay. Git push origin head. So all these you can perform, right? Again, I have to give the username and password. So there's a way by which you can avoid re-entering same thing again and again. For that, you need to add these password to git config. Oh, looks like I added some password again. Yeah. So I've pushed your changes to a branch name as my branch. Now I can go ahead. Here I is Brijesh. Okay. So create pull request and then simple. Okay. My source branch is this. Destination is this. Compare. You see what is the difference between these two. Okay. Yep. So you can see the difference. Commit. Okay. My first commit, this was added. Okay. So create pull request. First PR. Then I'll do create. Yeah. So now the approver can go ahead and then merge. Okay. So it's same as your GitHub has been replaced by CodeCommit and your local system was replaced by a EC2 instance. And on EC2 instance, if I need to access a repository, I'll log in through a user which has the required permission. Okay, so that user should have HTTPS permission to access the CodeCommit repository. Okay. So I see something on chat. Okay. Okay, guys. So this is it from me. I know we covered a lot of labs today, and going forward, we'll have more complex labs. So make sure you all practice whatever is being taught. Any confusion, I can go back to any of the lab. I mean, theoretically, I can tell you what we did.
It was good for me. I think it's a matter of us practicing. Uh, I know you can show us around and talk through the theory again, but it's a matter of us practicing now. So that's what I think.
Yeah.
Again, extremely good session. I have said this many times. You're such a good teacher.
Thank you. In fact, I would say I am also being selfish here. I'm learning by teaching. That's my motive. Yeah.
That's always the case, right? That's
Yeah.
always the case. We learn more while we teach. In fact, if you speak to James Bach, and he will tell you that the best way to learn testing is to teach others.
Yeah.
And this is something that he says quite often, and I have found it to be really effective and useful.
Yeah.
So yeah, teaching is good. All right. Thank you, Jyoti, for this edition. We will reconvene again next week. This episode will be available on YouTube. If not today, by tomorrow. All right. See you next week then.
Okay. Bye. Bye, Vinod. Vinod, thank you for coming.
Bye, Vinod. Thanks.